Audio Jungle.
So here the payables process starts within SunSystems. So I'm going to use the standard SunSystems payment run functionality to build a batch of transactions. So I've already posted some invoices and I'm going to use my local bank payment profile for this first example. And normally we would go through post-transaction set to no to produce an expected payment listing to see exactly what invoices have been selected for payment and then review that document. And then we could withhold transactions if needed until we're happy that the batch will be built as required. Once the batch has been posted in SunSystems, it will automatically be moved into the B4B payment area for validation. So we are committed to that batch of transactions. So it's very important here that we review the payment listing prior to doing the posting. So here I'm going to go ahead and post my batch. This is going to be a batch of local GBP payments. So in SunSystems, the payment process is complete, and we can see here, looking at the payment run report, a number of transactions have been posted. And if we go to the bottom of the report, we can see here 18 payments were settled for a total of 118,000. So I'll leave this report open. We can refer back to that later. So now I'm going to log into B4B as my payables user. And logging into B4B, we can either have named user authentication or we could use Windows authentication. So here I'm using named authentication, so I can log in as this user. And we're now into the B4B main menu. So along the bottom, we can see who we're logged in as, the business unit we're currently connected to, PK1 in this case, and the format that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to change that format to our UK local Barclays format that we're going to use for this particular batch. And now I can validate the payments that we have just posted within SunSystems. So here automatically the payment profile and that batch of transactions is immediately available to B4B. So there is no interface or intermediary file that needs to be transferred from Sun into B4B. B4B is looking directly at the database table, the payment table within SunSystems. And this new validate payment functionality in version 6 gives us clear visibility of exactly what payments were posted in SunSystems, how they're going to be processed by B4B, and then if any errors were encountered along the way. So on the first tab that's highlighted, payment details, we can see there were actually 32 transactions posted in that batch. So individual invoice detail, and we can see here one of those is highlighted in red. It clearly has something wrong. There's an error associated with that. If we look at the second tab, the payment summary, then this is how B4B is going to process these payments. So we can see here that the transactions on the whole are being paid by account or by creditor. So multiple invoices are being consolidated to make one payment instruction to the bank. Again, here is our transaction that has an error associated with it. And if we look at this particular creditor, we can see here that the payment type has been set to pay by invoice or reference. So we're going to actually generate 4 bank instructions, i.e. one for each invoice. So this is how B4B is going to actually process the batch of payments. And of course, on the final tab, we can see that there were some errors. For this particular supplier, Dawson, the bank account record is currently pending approval. So most commonly, the errors encountered here would be that the bank details are missing for the supplier, the bank details are invalid, or as the case here, the bank details are pending approval, where we're using the approval module in B4B. So here we have the opportunity to carry on and process the valid payments, and then we could come back and address any rejections at a later date. Or the recommendation is we go and address those errors first to ensure that every transaction that was posted in SunSystems will be successfully validated by B4B and then included in the bank file when submitting to the bank for payment. So let's just quickly approve that bank detail record. So here I'm going to log in as my approver. And if we go to our maintenance, we can see that this user has access to the approval module. And here there are actually 2 records pending approval. And this was the one that was causing the rejection during the payment process. And of course, the approver can drill into the details to see exactly the information that has been changed that they're approving, and then make their approval decision. And I'm going to approve this second one as well while we're here. So now I can log out as the approver and come back in as my payables user. And I'm going to validate the batch of payments again. So now we can see 32 payments were posted in SunSystems. B4B will generate 21 individual payment transactions, and now no errors were encountered during this batch. And looking at the payment summary tab, of course, here we have some totals, and of course that total will match the total that we posted within SunSystems. So now I'm going to go ahead and save these transactions into the format area. And we can see that all of these payments have been mapped to our Barclays internet banking format. So I will save these transactions for format processing. That now clears the validate payment grid and has moved those transactions into the create bank file area. So the final step for the payables user is to simply create the output file ready for upload, in this case to Barclays internet banking. So here are all of the transactions that have been successfully validated. And I'm going to give it a file name. And a reason code. So here we can construct a payment description that's going to be included in the bank file and pass through the banking system onto the beneficiary's bank statement. And you can see here there's a number of ways that we can construct that particular payment description. So here I'm just going to use a fixed text and put in my company name. And finally, for this bank format, we can specify whether it's a standard interface format or whether it's a BACS format that we're going to be using. And then we simply create the bank file. So here the bank file has now been created. Those payments have been cleared from B4B and moved into the archive area. And we're now ready to proceed and upload that bank file into the appropriate online banking module. So a very quick and easy process for the payables user. I'm just going to demonstrate that once again. So now I'm just going to run another payment run again. This time I'm going to use my SEPA payment profile to generate a batch of euro payments. So again, using standard functionality within SunSystems to build the batch and post those transactions. And here we get a payment run listing detailing those euro payments that have been settled in the batch. And here we have 10 euro payments. So this time I'm actually going to use the web interface that's available now with B4B6. So here I'm going to actually launch the B4B web interface within SunSystems. And again, I'm using named authentication. We could further streamline this by using Windows authentication to bypass that login. So this is the web interface of B4B version 6, and here we have our functions that are available within the web portal. So here I'm going to validate the batch of payments, and here's my SEPA payment profile ready for review. And here we can see that 12 payments were posted in SunSystems. B4B is going to generate 10 payment instructions, and no errors were encountered. So here I can again just simply save these valid payments into the format area. And then I'm going to change the format to my SEPA module and then create the bank file. So a different set of runtime parameters for the SEPA payment file. Again, we have our reason code. So this time I'm going to use the company name plus the invoice numbers relating to this payment. We'll give it a file name. This actually creates an XML file from this format. Some other runtime parameters relating to this SEPA payment module. And then we can go ahead and create the bank file. So here our payment is complete. And we actually have a payment run listing that I've associated with this particular format. So one final report out of B4B that details the exact payments that were included within this bank file. So here we can see a custom report now that's available within B4B, giving us our totals as well. And again, our total number of payments, the total amount, should match exactly what we've posted in SunSystems. So here we're using a web interface now to launch B4B and running that either from any browser or here